Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins for the Shiruba Springs in the Winter Springs tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Before we take a closer look at the videos, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that are looking to improve your game even more here in Golf Clash, scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. We do have a package for each and every one. You can start as low as $1.50. And we have something for tour play, we have something for tournament play, so pick the one that suits you the best. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number one. On Shiruba Springs hole number one, we are using an extra mile here and setting up very far up on the fairway. I would, however, recommend to use a minimum a power 2 ball when we do have headwind, because we do want to avoid having to go with a lot of overpower on the drive. It's just completely unnecessary, especially when we do have golf balls that do have more power. We can obviously use a power 3 ball also, and I mean, for those that do want to spend a P4 or a P5 ball, you can do that as well. Just make sure to play with a ball that puts you into a spot where overpower is not needed. Max plus 10 for the adjustment, using a slight overpower here just because I only have 4.5 bars of topspin and I want to push the ball at least halfway up on this fairway. 340 yards is there, and now the second shot is going to be a long iron to pin. And here, right, here comes probably one of the few times here for when it comes to par 4s where, not few times for the par 4s, but my point is, if you do have a long iron with a better ball guideline such as the Grizzly or the B52, then this shot will become so much easier, because here now with the backbone with a pretty poor ball guideline, it's very easy to either come in too short or come in too long or like coming too hot. And that's going to obviously have an impact of you getting the eagle or not, because this with a good club is a super solid chance for an eagle, but with some poorer clubs it's going to be a little bit difficult to judge the power. You can see we come in pretty hot and we take a 180 around the hole there on the right. Minus 10% elevation through club distance. This is, again, doesn't matter what club you have, you still have a chance for an eagle, but it becomes so much easier if you have a better long iron. And with that, I mean a better ball guideline on your long iron. I like hole number two. It's a nice one, has always been, and that's because I do favor to go with the rough bump. Playing with a long iron in headwind, we need to play with a power 3 ball, or we're gonna pull it into max club. All the right spin, there is a sticky spot there as you could see, and we're looking to catch that one. But instead of doing the 360 around the hole I'm doing in the video, we obviously want to hit it in the hole. Max plus 20. Make the adjustment and send to the ball, and we are going to have a very solid chance to make an hole-in-one. If you do not feel confident with this type of rough bump, then you can bounce on the fairway, but again, we're playing into a sticky spot, and then that is absolutely worth taking the risk, even though you can of course be unlucky as I am there. Hole number 3 is going to be a hole that's gonna cost a lot of players the eagle. This because it's a very long one. So what I'm trying to do here now is to try to play smart. 4.5 top spin, 1.5 bar of left spin, trying to aim towards the corner or like the part of the rough that points out onto the fairway. Medium distance plus 10, I'm using a power 5 ball, not so much for the drive but for the second shot. And you're gonna notice that on the second shot we do need as much power possible. Bounces on the fairway, rolls lovely down here, and you can see that we're not trying to go as far down as possible. We're trying to be as much right possible. And the reason we're trying to be as much right possible is due to the fact that we do now need to push the ball on this fairway here to the right. And the closer we are to the right, the less distance we do have to reach to that fairway. Max plus 10 is the adjustment using all the top spin, all the left spin, and then try to use some curl as well. This is not going to get you to green, but it's going to get you short enough at least so you can get yourself a wedge towards the pin. Just to show the wedge as reference, play here with the wedge that gives you the most or the best ball guideline possible. Sure, you can play an EB School version. If you play with an Endbringer, then you play EB School with 10% elevation with no spin. If you are doing some type of a hybrid here, then obviously you can use top spin and ensure that you are making your target be a little bit further back, so the wedge is then becoming easier. Center the ball and hit perfect, and again, this is no gimme, and this is why I do think that a lot of players will end up with a birdie here, because it's one tough drive, 1 second shot that is tough with max overpower, and then you have the wedge where you do need to adjust properly and hit perfect, or you're gonna miss that one too. So if getting an eagle here, that should be considered a drop on hole number 3. For hole number 4, I do value going with the Goliath. The reason for that is if we do have a headwind, we are otherwise going to pull into max club if using such as a backbone or a grizzly or something like that. One right spin and some back spin trying to leave the ball guideline short. This is obviously the difficult part, as it's hard to judge how hot or how slow we are going to attack the pin. In the best case scenario, we are using obviously the correct spins, and then we do have a good speed towards the pin, and the hole-in-one is definitely in play. Medium distance plus 15, using a navigator ball to prioritize reducing the wind instead of having more side spin. Ball comes up onto the green, perfect speed, dead center for a lovely hole-in-one. So replicate what I'm doing here in the video, and you will always be close regardless what wind direction you have off tee. For Shiruba Springs, hole number 5, we are going to play with our quarterback, trying to lay up short for a sniper rough bump. The reason I do believe that the sniper rough bump is better than pushing for a long iron is due to the fact that we usually have the long iron in a very low level, and then the ball guideline will not be reliable, the accuracy is often crap. Therefore, the sniper, even in a lower level, will be extremely valuable on a par 4 like this. Max plus 5, playing with a quasar ball to ensure that I'm not gonna go in between clubs on the approach as well, as it is a P1 ball. Here we are safely down the fairway, looking to get ourselves to around 300 yards obviously. Second shot, we're once again, as I said, playing a rough bump with our sniper, checking where max club are, checking where min club are, and then we're going to make a decision or a guess based off that, and then adjust from. So yellow ring by the rough line, ball guideline slightly through the hole. The reason I'm having the ball guideline through the hole is due to the fact that the green is slightly uphill and we don't want the ball to lose speed. No elevation, and you can see here now that we're pulling down pretty heavily down into the bunker. It's very easy to over adjust this shot, which will happen more times than not, as reading the elevation here will become a bit difficult. So we bounce into the rough, rolls up on towards green, and as you can see here now, we're making an over adjustment, which is something we have to correct and play less the next time. And the reason the elevation here becomes so difficult to know what to do with is due to the fact that sometimes we do not pull down into the bunker, sometimes we do pull up towards the green, and sometimes we just pull straight to the left or to the right, and all of that is going to make a different elevation, because we're gonna go from either staying at the same height, or we're going to go to a higher position, or we're going to go to a lower position. And all of that is difficult, but again, from a tournament perspective, make sure to get the right elevation before you go in, and then a perfect ball will be very close. Hole number 6 is, it looks like a fairly easy par 5, but it's not, because everything is going to the left. So what our intention is here is to try to get the ball down the fairway on the left hand side, laying up like our opponent. If you could see the logo on our opponent, it's not really the way to go, because from there it's going to be extremely difficult to get the ball to green. So what I'm doing here now is to use a side spin 3-ball, which is the Kingmaker. The Kingmaker also gives us a decent amount of power, which is very helpful. Using the big topper here allows us to add some topspin together with that as well, and I'm using 5 bars of topspin. Adjust max plus 10. I'm using 1 ball of left curl, and now we are going to bounce on the fairway over the rough, and we're gonna get ourselves nicely here down on the fairway. Issue though, by using so little topspin that we're doing, because we can't really go with a super amount of curl, then is that we are going to be fairly short. So in this instance here now, we can't go for a rough bump, which is what I would prefer to go with. Then we're going to have to go for a bounce over, and then the big dog is completely the wrong club for doing a bounce over, and then we would in that case having to play with something called the sniper, and I'm adding the sniper in the info box now to ensure that that's the club to go with if you're just not getting the distance enough. So sniper to bounce over the rough will give you a good ball guideline. It can then make you give you a better guess, and you don't have to do like that and you come in way too hot and have absolute zero chances of dropping the albatross from distance. Sure, it's a safe eagle, but in the end though, like when we are in a scenario like that, it's all about picking the right club, and I choose the wrong club, and then the albatross is definitely not something I will get. Hole number 7 of the Shiruba Springs. If you only have drivers with 4.5 topspin or less, then it doesn't matter what wind angle you have of tee. You cannot send it down the right hand side, which is the easy and the most common way to do it if you do have a good tailwind of tee in all the divisions. So then you have to lay up, and that goes as well if you do have any sort of headwind or just direct crosswind, you're gonna have to lay up as well. Max plus 20 with our quarterback using backspin, and the reason I'm using the quarterback is also for its accuracy, to get myself to around 245 yards. From here we can use our sniper, and using the sniper for this rough bump gives you not just a good accuracy on your club, it gives you also a good ball guideline, so the chance of dropping this one from distance is actually pretty big. Ball guideline goes slightly through the hole if we do have some type of headwind component, because otherwise it's going to be easy to go short in line. 30% elevation, and it's again true club distance if you do not have any pin checks or fin checks to be able to follow. Adjustment is made, send to the ball and hit perfect, and we will at least give this eagle run for its money here from distance. But that's only if you do hit perfect. A great ball here, it's never going to be in, or let's say if you adjusted incorrectly, a great ball may go in, obviously, so we shouldn't rule that out. But it's a tough one. This is most definitely a tough par 4 of the Shiruba Springs, especially with the low level clubs. Hole number 8 is, in my opinion, the absolute toughest of the par 3s. This, as we're going to, most of the time, having to play from the fairway, bouncing up towards the pin. Sure, you can go for a skinny rough bump, but that rough bump is going to require a perfect. And if you do hit a great ball, it's going to be either in the sand or you're going to miss the rough and go into the rough on the back. So that is truly something people need to have in mind when it comes to this particular par 3. It offers a lot of aggressive alternatives, whereof the more safer one is the one I'm doing here now. But the safer one that we're playing here now, we're going to most of the time have to do a pretty heavy offset, because once the ball hits the ground, the wind is going to push the ball pretty heavily. It's going to be hard to compensate for the wind push that we are getting. But it's a safe one, getting the birdie, max plus 20, no need to spend any fancy balls here either, so we can play with a quasar and be happy to at least have the birdie and move on. Hole number 9 is all about the club selection here. Here we're going to play with our big topper, as our driver. We are going to play with the horizon, regardless what level the horizon is in on the second shot. We are valuing topspin here as an attribute, as we're not really in the need of any power. Now, ball guideline to point center down the fairway with all the topspin applied, medium distance and no elevation, and I'm playing with a power 1 ball. Ensure to play with a power 1 ball, as it will otherwise be very easy for you to pull into min club, and that's going to be a problem. Bounces on the fairway over to the next fairway, and all the topspin with the big topper is helping us loads in position ourselves correctly for the second shot. Now, on the second shot, we're going to bounce on the fairway down towards the pin. Now, I'm using as much topspin I can use together with 2 right spin, aiming towards that big, well, not big, but the rock in the distance, basically. That's my aim point, really, with my target. Adjust is going to be 10% elevation through club distance. So if you are at max, you play max. If you're at mid, you play mid. Last piece of the puzzle, we're going to apply some curl, and you can see here that I'm using 1 ball of a right curl and trying to hit perfect. The idea here with this type of play is to get you to a short wedge or to get you to a putt. If you do happen to aim not prop, like let's say that you aim too close to the rough line with your target, you might use overpower, you might not really think about the curl that you're using, then you could obviously roll into the rough. But the idea with this type of play is to grab the eagle and then run along, because there will be a lot of opponents that will struggle getting the eagle on this very tough par 5 as hole number 9. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wind here for the Shiruba Springs in the Winter Springs tournament in Golf Clash the game. Make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. We do offer tour guides and tournament guides for everyone. You can start as low as $1.50 per month. And in the end here, I want to say thank you so much once again for watching one of my videos here on the channel, and I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.